First Alert Weather.
Hey folks, and welcome back. We're going to start things off with a look at the weather balloon. I know a lot of folks are curious about this. By the way, for those of you who are like, Nick, how'd you get this video? Well, the good folks at Moselle were willing to send it to us. And also, if you look really closely outside of the kids, you'll see me right out of the corner there. Kids more important. They let off this weather balloon earlier today, and this is really cool. Not only did they have a GoPro locked into it, but we were in a day where the winds were actually doing something really cool above us, which made the ride that this went and took pretty cool. All right, so what did the winds look like? Well, we go back to our SKU-T. We usually look at this when we're talking about severe weather. By the way, we're just going to let this thing roll up here in the corner. So if you're listening to me, you can just kind of keep your eye on what's happening over here at the same time. But as you move up in the atmosphere from the surface, which is all the way down to the bottom there, all the way up to the top of the atmosphere, winds are blowing back out of the south and southwest down at the lower levels, which is why as this goes up, when we let it go, if you're watching the Facebook Live I did this morning, it just belted, just took way off going to the north because the wind was coming out of the south at about 20 to 25 miles an hour. And then it goes calm for a while, and then it shifts back around out of the west, and then back out of the northwest and the northwest. Well, what does this do? Well, remember, it's got to go up with the weather balloon. Take a look. Now we're up above the clouds. Once it gets up high enough, the balloon bursts once it's about the size of a classroom or so. And then the GoPro, which is attached to a little parachute, falls back to Earth. So you can imagine it's going up, 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 and then it has to come all the way back down. What does that look like on a map? Well, it looks, this is an estimate. This isn't exact GPS or anything. But you think as it goes up, it's going back out of the south and southwest, and then it comes back around to the southeast, and then it goes kind of calm, and then we've got winds back out of the west, and then back out of the northwest, and then as it falls back down, it's winds back out of the northwest still, and then it switches back around to the south and to southeast. But I will say, all of that stuff aside, this is probably the coolest thing that we can watch. Check this out. Look how high up in the atmosphere this thing got. That's space. That's so cool. You can see the cirrus clouds and some of the cumulus clouds that are down here as well. The curvature of the Earth. All you flat Earth people out there. This isn't the government lying to you. These are a bunch of elementary school kids with a GoPro. So you can see even the thin veil of parts of the atmosphere. This is just really cool stuff for a group of elementary school kids to be putting together with their teachers and their principal. Not bad at all. If you look real close, you can even see a couple of maybe controlled burns or forest fires happening down here as well with the cloud. You can get so much stuff from this. This is going to fast forward here in a second once it gets up high enough here to it actually falling back down to Earth. And this ended up over in Chatham, Alabama. Not that far away because the winds today weren't too terribly strong. So it was relatively light breezes out there, all things considered. Winds, by the way, up at this high in the atmosphere can get going at about 80 to about 120 knots. And here it is coming back down to Earth. We've got blue sky again because, of course, the sunlight is bouncing off all of the water molecules in the air. This actually ended up in a tree in Chatham. They had to cut down the tree to get the payload from, that's a direct from Mark over there saying they actually had to cut down this tree in order to get that video back to us. So pretty cool stuff. All right, so temperatures out there right now, if you got any evening plans, 77 degrees in Hattiesburg, 73 in Laurel, 75 in Collins, and 76 in Columbia. I kind of teased this at 6 o'clock, but I said, well, you know, if the wind, all the clouds are kind of going this way, you can imagine that generally it's going to push off from west to east, and it did. It almost went due west to due east by the time it went all the way up and came all the way back down and it made its big journey. It just basically ended up a little farther off to the east. But what you care about your forecast for the next 7 days, the reason we can talk about really cool, spacey, weathery type stuff is very little weather of any consequence. I mean, a couple of showers for tomorrow, maybe a rumble of thunder. Same goes early Wednesday. Your next chance for rain shows up Saturday and Sunday again. Talking 20, 30% chance of little consequence with temperatures in the 80s. Amanda?
Ford is launching a police responder hybrid